Yeah. I take a cold hard look at the world now. Hold my hand out, got a plan now. I'ma help be the change cause I can now. Here I stand now, take my hand now. No pain, no gain, no shame. Work hard, play hard, okay. I think I get it now, don't wanna let them down. I'ma take the ground and speak my mind out loud. Here I go, proud of my notes. Teach them what I wrote, teach them all the hope. Keep them on the road to the dream. All I need is a team, build your own self-esteem. You can do anything, prove everything. Say what you mean and believe in your dream. Find that thing that you love, that you really wanna be. And don't give up till you've given absolutely everything. Yeah. A chance now to prove that you're something. In your own head, all these thoughts you're confronting. We've all been there when you feel like you're nothing. Shut that shit down, crush those thoughts and just trust me.
Test, test.
What's in your head now? Sometimes think you're better off dead now. Fuck that, yeah, you heard what I said now. Don't cop out, make a plan instead now. You got this one life here and now to feel the sun on your skin and to see the clouds. There's nothing out there quite like living. Sing the simple things, watch a kid and you'll get it. It's no heaven, but a damn close second. Can always find someone new who has it much better, but can also find someone that has it much worse. Is the cup that full? Do you have that curse? Turn it all around, put your mind in reverse. When everything hurts, go listen to these words. Your life on this earth has so much worth. You just have to find the right state of mind that works. Yeah.
Give me a chance now to prove that you're something. In your own head, all these thoughts you're confronting. We've all been there when you feel like you're nothing. Shut that shit down, crush those thoughts and just trust me. Don't let me down, just trust me.
Hey guys. Good evening. Sunday, December 1st. Oh man, I hope everyone is still full and happy from Thanksgiving. I know I enjoyed mine. Man, looks like we got some people here too. We got 6 of you, then several faces I have not seen in a while. Let's pull up the chat and take a look. We got D-Temp, we got John, we got D, we got Patriot in the Dark. And that looks like what we got for now. Maybe a few more people hiding out there. So first thing y'all may have noticed is I have changed the name of the channel. Going forward, we're going to drop the Modern Anti-Federalist, and we're rebranding as PCP Media, not PCP as in the drug. PCP is in Pork Chop Productions. Pork Chop Productions being my media organization. Now, this was done for several reasons. First, when I first made this channel in 2013, I actually planned it to be a lot more historical and philosophical, covering topics from essentially the early constitutional fights. And then that pretty much immediately went out the window as IR Marine and this knuckle dragger decided to make content related to firearms and firearms training and gear and actually a little bit of prepping as well. And quite frankly, we really don't do any of that stuff on here anymore. So, we still talk about guns, but the channel is more, it covers more just news stuff right now. So with all that said, I am so glad you guys are here. Thank you so much for your support. If this is your first time here, my name is Adam. I'm very glad to have you here. We cover a broad range of general news, and we try to keep it as lighthearted as possible, and we get serious when we have to. So, hi, let's get started. Let's get into the general news stories. Let us get into this. As always, I like to keep up with the trends of the post-apocalyptic world that we will soon be living in and how we will end up there. And sometimes it's killer robots from Google and DARPA and Boston Dynamics and or China with their stuff. And sometimes it's... Oh, let's go. That's the one I wanted. Rampaging monkeys turn against humans in violent turf war attacks like Planet of the Apes. So, this week's sci-fi shit hits the fan reality is monkeys and humans are now at war in India. So, monkeys are becoming increasingly aggressive, murdering babies and running riot gangs in a never-ending turf war with humans. I came prepared today. Yes, menacing monkeys are terrorizing villagers and baying for human blood in a battle for supremacy in a year that has sparked angry protests across India. The macaques of India are getting angrier and more violent, according to Iqbal Malik, a primatologist and environmental activist based in New Delhi, who says they have suddenly turned aggressive because of human interference. They're saying, yeah, they're usually peaceful primates in their natural habitats. And scientists also decided to sterilize them, which may have backfired, pissing them off. And in a recent tragedy, a baby boy died after a monkey dropped a stone on his head earlier this month. Wow. It's happening, guys. It's happening. Oh, man, I wish I would have had the Ron Paul It's Happening gif now. Whatever. Or GIF. It's GIF. Like Jiffy, like the peanut butter. So that is how we start. Everyone, be careful because monkeys are coming. So yeah, let's move on. And then we know this is true because it came from the Daily Star. Being a little facetious. This one we can thank D for, or we can. Not be too happy with him about woman arrested for emasculating cheating husband with her teeth. Bear with me for a minute. Let's cringe through this. In St. Louis, Missouri, a 43-year-old woman was arrested this morning by the St. Louis Police Department after she tore off her husband's genitals with her own teeth as an act of vengeance for an alleged infidelity. During her interrogation, Christina Palmer Anderson confessed that she had been planning her crime since she had surprised her husband performing oral sex on her crystal meth dealer last weekend. She told police that she spent many hours sharpening her teeth with a nail file over the last week in order to make castration easier. In an astonishing feat of jaw strength, she then cut through her husband's genitals with her teeth, removing his penis and testicles from his body. She then left him there, severely bleeding, to go into another room of the residence and smoke drugs. The victim, 47-year-old John Marie Sanderson, was fortunately able to untie himself in a matter of minutes and called 911 before he called 911 before he finally lost consciousness. The police and paramedics arrived a few minutes later and rapidly arrested Mrs. Anderson and transported her husband to the St. Louis University Hospital. When the officers arrived on the site, the victim was naked, unconscious, covered with blood, said Police Chief John Belmar. The accused was sitting on a couch smoking crystal meth with her face and clothes full of blood. And she immediately confessed to her about castrating her husband, screaming, "I bit his dick off," over and over again, bragging about her crime. D, I covered it. But only because I wanted all of you other people to have to deal with what he sent me. Shame on you, man. My God. This is a family show. Ish. Oh, my God. Look, all I can say is don't do drugs. And if you do use drugs, especially meth, don't cheat on your meth-addicted girlfriend, or she will file her teeth into fangs and bite your junk off. Now, this next story, I had too much trouble trying to get the video. Let's see if we can get some pictures of it. You know what? This woman, she got arrested. Here's why. Here's a picture. Oh, here you go. Probably need pictures. See this? This woman, that's a bus. That's a school bus with children. I mean, I honestly can't even blame her. I mean, let's be honest. I'd be hammered all the time, too, if I was a bus driver in Illinois. I mean, I'd be hammered all the time if I just had to deal with one or the other, you know, being in Illinois or being a bus driver. What a terrible job. What a terrible place. However, look, just because I'm sympathetic to how miserable this person's life clearly is. Come on, man. Come on. Kingpin, what's up, man? Oh, my Lord. Okay. We continue through the stories. Warsaw Pages. I've only seen stuff like this in China. Man, dude, China's pretty messed up, but, yeah, well, we have our times. Just like, here's a fun one. Here's a new fun story. We're getting away from the silly, just general news. We'll start getting into something a little bit more serious. Although then I have one more funny story before we move on too far. Alarmists propose rebranding climate change for greater shock value. Oh boy. I'll read the important bits of this story. Climate change alarmists are pushing for a change in vocabulary to scare people into taking global warming more seriously, starting with terms like global meltdown and climate collapse. Writing for Ad Age this week, Aaron Hall argues that in order to get people to take action against climate change, rebranding is crucial since people have gotten too used to the idea the climate is changing and needs to be shocked into the notion that the world as we know it is ending. End quote. So we now see that the hysterics of climate change are not enough. In year 3 of Trump derangement syndrome, they have to push this farther. We have to get more extreme. The article goes on to say that this global meltdown is going to lead to mass deaths. But aren't these the same people who are saying we're like really, really overpopulated and that's going to lead to mass deaths? So isn't this like a good thing in their eyes? Wouldn't this be a good thing that the climate would change and that we would have a reduction in, population? I mean, they do want population control to go along with their climate control schemes. And if you think I'm wrong, look up Agenda 21. I think now they call it Agenda 2050 or something like that. But it's not a conspiracy theory. It's very real. You have all these rich, elite, snobbish people who think that we need to have population control. We need to put everyone in cities. Don't let people live out in the woods. And we need mass depopulation to have the utopia that they want. So, no thank you. I do what I want, including drink this swill. Yes, gun-toting pacifists, I'm drinking Bud Light. This is the first one. Almost done with it. Started drinking it while I was setting up. Good times, huh? Wish I had a switchback, but those are more expensive. $10 for a 6-pack, guys. It's killer. Great beer, though. All right. One more funny story for you guys. Once it goes away. Manspreading is now banned in Los Angeles and subject to escalating fines. If you manspread in the subway in Los Angeles, you'll get a $75 charge after your ride and eventually be banned from using public transportation. However, there has been no word at all about purse spreading. How about this? We never talk about women here with putting their purses and their crap all over everywhere when you go for a ride. But hey, Men, you cannot sit comfortably. Dear God, LA. You guys are going way too far. Yes, D-Tom, I love your comment there. Funny how the answer to climate change is always socialism. Yes, I love how taking our money and giving it to the government is always the answer. Always the answer. But also, don't manspread, because women need places to put all their crap. Gun-toting pacifist, I am up here in west central New Hampshire, as you may know. And it's snowing here now too, so buckle down because we're supposed to get about 14 to 18 inches. Man, your the comment section is going wild. You guys are active today. I love it. So now that we've talked about the weather, yes, prostitution is legal. And hey, I love how socialism has already come up, because that is the very next thing we are talking about right this second. That is the exact news article. Hold on to your butts, boys and girls, because it's about to get real. Yeah. Let's cover this. Let's dive right into the story, which, of course, these two did not pop up. Wait a minute. Aha, we found it. What a slide you over. Slide you over. Fixed the problem. Fixed the problem. And you probably cannot read that, so let's make it a little bit bigger. Look at this, guys. Democrats, young voters attracted by socialism. Rasmussen has found that 41% of Democrats would vote for a self-identified socialist. 16% of unaffiliated voters, and shockingly enough, 19% of GOP voters would vote for a socialist. Young voters are twice as likely to think socialism is better than free market capitalism. 44% of Democrats believe socialism hasn't been given a fair shot at success. Seriously? It hasn't? Really? How many countries have tried socialism? How many have fallen apart? Oh, yes. Venezuela, one of the most oil-rich nations in the world. People are starving. Right now. People are banging pots in other South American countries that have that are starving because they too are embracing socialist policies. If you actually want to find out what's going on in South America, maybe I'll cover somewhat more in detail later. But right now, we are in a time where we may see worldwide revolutions happen because people are pissed off everywhere. I don't have too much world news. I'll get there eventually. But essentially, the college that had been under siege by the Chinese police have, with college students inside, they had archers ready. They had made all sorts of fire bombs. They were ready to go, but they eventually did cave. But there is a lot going on, especially in South America. But I have gone on a tangent there. But anyways, so the Free Stuff Army, they're growing. And even so-called conservatives, even just a small contingent, is there embracing socialism. The Overton window could very well run fastly towards less freedom with this cancerous ideology that is growing amidst possible catastrophic crash coming down the line in our economy. Because, ironically, Marxist policies that have been implemented in the first place. So, let's look a little bit more at this. Because I'm going to skip. There was another interesting story I had about. I'll just briefly show it. I'm just going to brush over this one, but this one is important to note, which is I find is interesting. Democrats' worst nightmare. Polls show 34% of black likely voters approve of Donald Trump. That could actually be interesting because the black voting bloc is very coveted. So if you look at what LBJ said, he was saying the Democrats, basically, they were making a monopoly on getting the black vote, saying that I'll have those blank voting Democrat for 200 years. Perhaps that is starting to crumble, and I think you know what word I was not saying. But we need to cover some U.S. economics here really quick. I'm going to sound like a broken record. But let's just brush through these headlines really quick. Stocks rise for fourth day in a row. Hit record highs. That was on November 27th. New York Fed adds $108.95 billion to markets. Another $108.95 billion of liquidity. CNS News. Federal debt up $1.3 trillion since last Thanksgiving. Over $10,000 per household. I have to go on this. These three headlines tell a harrowing story. Do I sound like a broken record yet? Stocks smashing records. The Federal Reserve keeps pumping liquidity. Those were last week's headlines that I gave. Remember, we talked about this last week. They just keep pumping money. Debt is up, and quantitative easing is devaluing the dollar. How long can we keep this game going? Further, why am I the only one connecting the dots here? I'm not a prophet. I'm not an economist. But even I can see the forest from the trees here. We are in trouble. I'm not saying this to instill fear. I'm not in the fear porn business. But we have to point out that you need to hedge your bets accordingly because we are severely overdue for the economic boogaloo. Imagine what would happen if the country crashed right prior to the November presidential elections. It would not be difficult to imagine the country turning red. No, I don't mean GOP red. I mean communist red. Trump, the GOP, and capitalism would be seen as scapegoats for an economic system that is far from actual capitalism. Something we have not had in this country in over 100 years. Remember, we have a mixed economy, and central banks are integral to the Communist Manifesto. There is a reason President Jackson destroyed the Bank of the United States, and there is a reason Americans have always been weary and wary of central banking systems, at least historically. We are on our third. Whoever controls the money controls the population. In the battle for ideas, people are easily swayed when scared. Emotions overpower logic. And we will progress down the road to hell that has been paved with good intentions. These are things you need to think about very, very carefully. I am not in the business of fear porn, but it is imperative that we discuss this. And I'm still on my first one, by the way. I'm behaving. I have to write a paper after this, so not getting hammered. Okay. Let's move on. We're getting back to some American politics, getting away from the economics that probably has put everyone to sleep. Headline. Maxine Waters says Ben Carson lacks the intelligence to be HUD secretary. I don't need to read the story to you. She says it in this 7-minute long video that I'm not going to play. But I wanted you to see the headline. I want y'all to keep in mind, let's talk about this woman for a bit. Her education ended with her bachelor's in sociology in 1971. Meanwhile, Dr. Carson got his BA in psychology from Yale, his MD from the University of Michigan, and finished his residency and specialization as a neurosurgeon at Johns Hopkins University. Maxine Waters couldn't even attempt to keep up with Ben Carson intellectually. She might be able to shout him down, but being loud and obnoxious, which she excels at, doesn't make you the winner of an argument. All right, I have to address this. Gun-toting pastor says, New Hampshire has really good craft beer. I love Switchback. It's my favorite, but this is what the missus got tonight, so this is what I drink tonight, all right? It is what it is, and it's fine. I know this is basically just water, and since I have a lot to do tonight, I'm just getting hydrated. Kingpin comment. You just won comment of the day right there. The guy who cuts on kids' brains is a dummy. Exactly. The guy literally works on people's brains, but he's stupid. You got to be kidding me. Let's continue on here. The next headline. I love this headline, and this is actually pretty funny to me. So this comes from Bloomberg.com. Remember, Bloomberg is now running for president, and we will get to that in a little bit. Trump, now a Florida man, makes home state center of campaign. Now, this makes sense actually for several reasons. Campaign strategy, this is brilliant actually, because he needs Florida to win. It also makes sense because, like most New Yorkers and a lot of Yankees, that's what people do when they retire. They retire in Florida. So it makes complete sense. So this is strategic and also makes sense for when he gets done being president. Now, I do think that a new rule should be implemented that whenever we talk about Trump now, we start with Florida man. How you doing, Ozark? Now, speaking of Bloomberg campaign chief, Trump is winning 2020 election right now. So, this is from The Hill. Bloomberg is officially in. Well, a question we have to ask ourselves here is, are we going to end up with billionaire versus billionaire running for president? And how do we as Americans take this? Does this effectively mean only the ultra wealthy now can be president? They're the only ones viable because they have millions upon millions of dollars that they can just blow, like we would blow, extra money as going out on a night with the town with our significant other, or maybe taking the kids out to get pizza or something. But I find it interesting that Bloomberg is coming out of the gate admitting that Trump is winning. How could this be? Well, CNN blames mind control. No, seriously. I couldn't get this clip from anywhere else, but we'll get there in a minute. Oh, you know what? Actually, so this is something interesting. Warsaw Patriot, you said Trump is our best president so far. I wish I would have kept the article now. I had so much news to go through, but I only have so much time and energy that I can use to go through stories. But Trump is actually more popular in the GOP than Lincoln, according to recent polls. Unfortunately, I don't have that data with me right now, so you're going to have to look that up. Done. Do I agree Trump has been doing a great job on our economy, exposing the evil that's been hidden in our government system for 10 years, even longer? It's been hidden a lot longer than that, but I do believe he's done fantastic at exposing the corruption for the people who've been asleep at the wheel, for sure. I think a lot of us, this is a more savvy audience right here. I think most of you guys and gals that participate in This Week in Stupid are generally tracking a little bit more, and that's not pandering to you. I think it's just that you just basically have not been asleep at the wheel. Whereas there's a lot of people right now, they're waking up and going, holy crap, things are bad. And that started a little bit, I think, with the Tea Party. And Trump was a big win, big help for that. Absolutely. But let's cover this mind control bit. Cult. I think we've had enough of that. So, yes, everything has to do with mind control. If you support Trump, you're in a cult because you aren't taking the Kool-Aid that CNN and the mainstream media has fed you. Now, if you guys have been paying attention over the last couple of years since I've been doing this, season 2 now, you guys know that I am more than willing to say when I think Trump's made a mistake, and I'm more than happy to praise him when he's done well. If you've known me outside of this channel, you would know that even I've given Obama props when he's done something right every once in a while, which he did every once in a while, but most of the party didn't. So you got to give credit where credit's due, to be fair. But this is just saying, oh, you're in a cult. These Trump people, they're just a cult. They are dumb, brainwashed. No. That's what he's actually been exposing. Because people have once again been asleep at the wheel, and now people are waking up and realizing things are kind of messed up. Now, speaking of Bloomberg, oh my God, this next let's play this.
Say, well, taxes are regressive.
I'm gonna mute myself.
But in this case, yes, they are. That's the good thing about them, because the problem is in people that don't have a lot of money. And so higher taxes should have a bigger impact on their behavior and how they deal with themselves. So I listen to people saying, oh, we don't want to tax the poor. Well, we want the poor to live longer so that they can get an education and enjoy life. And that's why you do want to do exactly what a lot of people say you don't want to do. The question is, do you want to pander to those people, or do you want to get them to live longer? And there's just no question. If you raise taxes on full sugary drinks, for example, they will drink less, and there's just no question that full sugar drinks are one of the major contributors to obesity, and obesity is one of the major contributors to heart disease and cancer and a variety of other things. So it's like saying, I don't want to stop using coal because coal miners will go out of work. Well, will lose their jobs. We have a lot of soldiers in the United States, in the U.S. Army, but we don't want to go start a war just to give them something to do. And that's exactly what you're saying when you say, well, let's keep coal killing people because we don't want coal miners to lose their jobs. The truth of the matter is there aren't very many coal miners left anyways, and we can find other things for them to do. But the comparison is a life or a job, or taxes or life. Which do you want to do? Take your poison.
So it's regressive, it is good. There are lots of tax experts in the room and fiscal
Painful 2
experts,
minutes.
and I'm
Painful.
very pleased that they hear you say that. And they all say the two things in life which are absolutely certain. One is death,
But are you hearing
the other
this?
one is tax.
Are you getting this?
So you
I
use
want the whole
one
clip. It's
to
important.
defer the other one.
That's correct.
Okay.
That is exactly
get
right.
it.
Well said.
Yeah.
You said it.
No, you said.
All right. So, First off, Patriot, thanks for stopping by. Have a good one. Oh my God. Can you believe the audacity of what he just said there? And this guy is running for president of the United States and being a multi-billion. The guy's rich. He's loaded. He's got more money than sense, obviously. And with his entrance into the race, it seems he could easily buy the Democratic primary. He wants to control people financially with taxes. He wants to weaponize taxes as if they're not bad enough, being an evil that puts a burden on people with good intentions. He's literally wanting to say, screw you, I've got mine. I'm going to control your behavior to make you do what I want you to do. That is the gist of what Bloomberg just said. And he has a proven track record of doing that with things like trying to control the sizes of cups as mayor of New York. You know what? Screw this guy, man. I really actually hope he takes the primary because I think Trump would have a field day with this guy. Yeah. Let's talk about some world news. You guys can chew on that one. Let it digest a little. Oh, God. Warsaw Patriot says this guy's no better than Beto. Bloomberg is a tyrant like Beto. Yes, except, Beta has already dropped out of the race and is now gone back into obscurity, whereas Bloomberg is motivated with a $1 billion war chest. I digress. Foreign policy. Let's hit it. Russia, Iran, and China to hold joint war games in message to the world. Alternate headline: 3 of the biggest asshole nations in the world are hanging out now. And you know they can do this power play, but the reality is we're kind of in a post-war environment when it comes to big nations because of this little thing called the nuclear bomb. We got enough nukes to make them glow a long, long time. It is, I think it's kind of ridiculous that Russia and China have chosen to do this with Iran. I think they're doing that mostly to piss us off. Because, let's be honest, Iran's a pissant. They're not much of a military. They're a regional power at best. Russia and China can project more, but even they are regional powers. Like China is an emerging superpower, but yeah, this is just I think this is just trying to show. China and Russia are just trying to show that they're gonna be Iran's boy just to make us butthurt. Warsaw Patriot says last week Russia took control of an abandoned U.S. airbase in northern Syria that we abandoned. I did see that. I don't really care. It's Syria. I just don't. I don't care about Syria. Kingpin says Tom Steyer is a billionaire. The money isn't helping him. Is he actually spending it? I mean, because let's be honest, I vaguely know who he is, but he's clearly not really adding all. D-Temp, deuces. John Craig Miles says, personally, I don't trust anyone that wears a suit and tie to work, but I grew up on a farm, so banker types have always been looked up as the enemy. You know, I mean, so I feel like I came from, middle America, Sometimes Dad would wear the suit and tie to work. Sometimes he wouldn't. Sometimes my dad's worked blue collar. He's worked white collar. My mom was a teacher. So I feel like I have that middle of the road mentality, and I don't have like a hatred for the people who are successful, or a distrust of people who are successful. Apparently I can't speak. Likewise, I don't have a distrust and a hatred for people who have been less fortunate than how I was raised. But as a partners, let's see. What are you saying there? D says, we could put our sugary drinks in glass made from the sand after the nuke instead of plastic to go green. There we go. And glass is recyclable. Winning. Warsaw Patriot says, Russia and the USA have a common enemy, and that's ISIS and radical Islamic extremists. Could Russia be an ally of ours against a common enemy someday? Yes. It's in all reality, if we could get past this Red Scare political BS, Russia they make sense as a partner. They just do. Like, we have this problem with these terrorist assholes, and we want to play political games. Yes, guess what? Putin's a tyrant. Yeah, he is. Guess what? You know what? I could also show you so many things in our country that are FUBAR, where the world can look at us poorly, because you know what? Maybe before we judge people, we should take the plank out of our own eye. Someone said that before. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, it was that guy Jesus, who the religion that sprang up after him is kind of the foundation of the culture of Russia, Europe, used to be anyways, United States. So we have some cultural ties that could work well together towards solving these problems, but I digress. Ozark says, look up unrestricted warfare and you'll never see China the same way. Their 100-year plan to take us over. I'll take a look at it, and I realize that China is playing the long game towards dominance, but this is actually something new for them culturally, because China has actually historically always been an isolated nation. They have always been very... they've basically almost been North Korea in a way. They never wanted empire except for a little bit here, a little bit there, what was culturally what they kind of considered in their realm. But you've never really seen China itself be interested in a huge empire. They really haven't. When you think, oh, Genghis Khan, well, he was Mongolian, and Mongolia was a little bit of a different animal. So that Asian history is very, it plays into it, and that's why I've never really been worried about China so much as, trying to take over the world, because first off, I don't think they're going to do it. It's not that they're a paper tiger. It's just that their economy it's a lot more fragile than I think people see it. And maybe they'll have a golden century like we have had, but I think it'll all be chill and kosher in the end. All right. That was had no idea I was going to go in that direction. Now, one thing I can tell you, actually something that's very interesting about China is, so the United States military is, our training for the last long time has been against, fighting insurgencies, counterinsurgency. But we are now moving our training towards fighting near peer is what the terminology is. And that's basically fighting other enemies that have night vision capabilities and are able to project power on an equivalent scale as we are. And so that is something the military is watching. But their ability to actually project their power is still limited because they don't have super carriers. They don't have the Air Force. I mean, they have to build up a military And when it comes down to it, while they can claim they have millions upon millions of people that they can pull from for their military, if you look at Iraq, they had over 1 million people for their military prior to the first Gulf War, and we rolled through there so quick. Like there were people when it came to the first Gulf War where they were saying this is going to be a bloodbath, it's going to be terrible, but we rolled through Iraq so fast that the tanks and the infantry were moving so quick, the mechanized and ground pounders, that supply lines could not even keep up. You had Iraqi military surrendering to camera crews. I think you could actually see that happen in China as well, because they don't have the ability to project their power like we do, even though they have the numbers. Okay. And you have to wonder how many of them would actually really want to fight a war with us. You could appeal to Vietnam. I get it. That could happen, but I don't think it. I'm not saying we would necessarily win a war with China if it was no nukes involved, but I also don't think there would be a war because nukes. Anyways, I have gone way too long on that. We are moving on here. Let's talk about... Oh, did I lose it? Well, I've lost the article, but I still have my handy dandy notes. Here's the headline: 2 tourists caught carving initials into 1300-year-old Mayan temple. All I have to say is, who does that? I mean, you got this ancient, awesome, cool temple. It's just freaking amazing, right? Basically a pyramid, except instead of being like that, like the Egyptians, it's more of like a step ladder. Their own style, their own preference, right? But these guys are like, this is so cool, this is so great. You know what's awesome? I got a great idea. Let's carve our initials into one of the most historic sites in the world. And, because narcissism. So people another 1,300 years from now will see our dumbasses' initials. Good job. I don't even know like what you would charge someone for that, like criminally, but come on. Like, I don't even know. People, you disappoint me. Now, I have one more foreign policy or foreign world news article, video, if you will. I want y'all to watch this.
Meinungsfreiheit in unserem Land ist gegeben.
We have
Und
freedom
all
of
die, die
expression
dauernd
in our country.
behaupten, sie dürfen nicht mehr ihre Meinung sagen, denen muss sie einfach sagen, wer seine Meinung sagt. Und wenn sie prononciert ist, der muss damit leben, dass es Widerspruch gibt. Es gibt keine Meinungsfreiheit zum Nulltarif, dass alle zustimmen.
So an opinion comes at zero cost.
Aber die Meinungsfreiheit
But freedom of
kennt
expression has
Grenzen.
limits.
Und die beginnen da, wo gehetzt wird, da, wo Hass verbreitet wird. Die
Well, let's
beginnen
begin
da, wo
with
die
hatred
Würde
display.
anderer Menschen
They begin with
verletzt
the dignity
wird. Und
of other
dagegen
people is
werden
violated.
müssen
This
wir uns
house
stellen
will
in
must
diesem
oppose
Hause.
extreme
Und das werden wir
speech.
auch hinbekommen, meine Damen und
Otherwise,
Herren.
our
Denn
society
sonst ist diese
will no
Gesellschaft
longer
nicht mehr das,
be
was
a
sie
free
glauben.
society that it was. Hold on one second. Just
In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire for a safe and secure society.
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
I felt that clip was fitting for something like this. I could have trimmed it down a little bit, but to be honest, it was either trim that down or take a nap today, and that nap was legit. Yeah, so I could have made that 20 seconds shorter, but you know what? Who cares? It's a great clip from a great movie, and now we're gonna have a copyright strike against us. So Kingpin hit it right there. Let's ban a bunch of stuff so we can be free. Exactly. Literally what Merkel is saying is that we need to ban specific types of speech. That's probably true because it hurts our feelings. You don't have the right to not have your feelings hurt. Seriously. You don't have that is not a right. Sometimes it may be a privilege to not have your feelings hurt, but if I want to say you're ugly and your mama dresses you funny, suck it up, Buttercup. But let's be honest, why are they saying this? The reality is, unpopular fact, she's saying this because they want to protect a certain group of people who come from certain sandlands that practice a certain faith that advocates raping goats, children, killing people who don't believe just like you do. Yeah. Oh, and these are also the same people that frequently marry their cousins, and their IQ just goes down the toilet as they also have 6-7 fingers or something. No. Oh my God, did he say that? Who is he talking about? Why would he say such a thing? That's clearly hate speech. We need to ban that. Ban him off the YouTube. He hurt my feelings. Jihad on him. Exactly. Saul Patriot says Germany needs to wake up. Wake up. You know what? Maybe we should have noticed never even gave Germany self-governance, after World War II. They simply just can't embrace freedom. So, yeah, just Germany, you're good at making cars. Can you just stick to that and just nothing else? Beer, actually, your beer's good too. Anyways, let's talk guns. I got some winning stories, and you'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll be happy, you'll be sad. Good story here. Indian Creek, someplace in Ohio. This school district voted yes to arming teachers. Teachers in Indian Creek School District will now be allowed to carry concealed weapons on school property. The resolution passed unanimously in a 5-0 vote on Tuesday evening. According to the Board of Education President Dr. Ted Starkey, concealed weapons has been a major topic within the school district for the last 6 years. In a perfect world, we wouldn't have to be discussing alternatives like this. We wouldn't have to be discussing ways of putting down a murder in our schools, but recent history has shown us that's what happened in our world, and there's no sign it's going to stop. That is what we call logic. Edison Locale is another school district in the Ohio Valley that previously passed the resolution. Staff that choose to carry a concealed weapon on school premises must complete training monthly and recertify on a yearly basis. That's literally more than most cops qualify and train. Well, they qualify usually once a year, but they don't have to train monthly. But I'm cool with that. Training monthly, it should be a bare minimum for anybody who wants to carry a gun. I'm not saying it should be government enforced, but for the school district part, I understand that. And for those of you who love your guns out there, train. Having a gun and having ammo doesn't mean anything if you can't effectively use it. And just because you used to be an infantry knuckle dragger, if you don't keep up with your skills, they do go away. Next story. We got another feel good. Not going out like a punk. Jamaican NRA member with gun permit shoots an AK-47 wielding robber. The guy I killed last night, he put an AK-47 to my damn face. This is a man in Miami. He used his firearm to defend his property from a rifle-wielding intruder, killing the would-be thief in the process. This is a 6-year-old man named Donovan Stewart. Said he had to resort to lethal force early Monday when an armed assailant broke into his van where he was asleep with his wife and 11-year-old son. Good job. So yeah, good for him. Another day goes by, another story of a good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy with a gun, something you won't hear in the mainstream media. Yes, and you definitely won't hear this in the mainstream media because the guy was black, he was an immigrant, he was an NRA member, and he defended himself against a guy with one of those big, scary assault guns. Ooh. This feel-good story certainly does not fit the narrative. Warsaw Patriot, I'm with you, but I think it was still of note for the story. Most people do still support the NRA when they're gun supporters. They don't even pay attention enough to know. Like, when I say this is a savvy audience, like I said, I'm not pandering. You are the people who are awake. There is a reason this channel is still so small. Probably because we are touching on subjects many people may not even feel comfortable with. We sit here with jokes, but we hit some real stuff here, guys. I mean, some scary stuff, and I try to put a spin on it to make it funny, to give it a sugarcoat, but sometimes you can't. All right, this next story is where we get to have some fun. This is from, wait for it, the ADL. The Boogaloo, extremist new slang for a coming civil war. Boogaloo, 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 boogaloo. This article, all right, here's the gist of it. The Boogaloo, we've been saying this is a joke for a long time. They're saying it's gun rights activists threatening violence. It goes on to talk about white supremacists, yada, yada, yada. Whoa, white supremacists. Yeah, there you go. White supremacists take up the term. Here's the gist of it. The ADL is twisting the narrative to make it seem that a silly term that we use and trying to paint all gun rights activists as violent extremists that are racist and looking to cause a civil war. But hey, speaking of the Boogaloo, will the revolution start in Virginia? Another article from D. This was actually something I was already going to cover, but this was a pretty good article showing pictures from what's happened there. So in the state of Virginia, they are looking to pass a Senate state bill called number 64, which we will read in just a moment. But before we get to that, this article goes on to show that this meeting was supposed to start at 7 p.m. and at 5:15, about a third of the 100 chairs were taken. Once again, it's 2 hours early. At 6 p.m., the room was full. The doors were shut. And a couple of people were waiting to talk to the supervisors on the side of the building. 6:30, there was 400 people in the parking lot. 7 p.m., there was 1,000 people in the parking lot. The meeting started and county supervisors took a recess because they could not believe how many people arrived to protest them, and they had to see for themselves. So these pictures you're seeing, you know what, let's go to make it a little bit bigger. They're not happy. So what is Senate State Bill 64, you ask? I'm going to bring this up and try to go through as much of it as possible. You know what I'm going to do? I'm turning me off. All right, so you shouldn't be able to see me right now. Here is the bill. I'm going to read a lot of this bill, perhaps most of it. Okay. A bill to amend and reenact numbers, blah, 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 of the Code of Virginia relating to paramilitary activities, penalty bill, paramilitary activities, blah, blah, yada. being enacted by the General Assembly of Virginia is amended as follows. Paramilitary activity prohibited. A person shall be guilty if they're doing unlawful military activity, punishable as a class 5 felony. Jesus, I can't speak. If he teaches or demonstrates to any other person the application or making of a firearm, explosive, or incendiary device or technique capable of causing injury or death to persons, knowing or having reason to or intending that such training will be employed for use in or in furtherance of a civil disorder, or assembles with one or more persons for the purpose of training with, practicing, or being instructed in the use of any firearm, explosive, or incendiary device or technique capable of causing injury or death to persons, intending to employ such training for use in or in furtherance of a civil disorder, or assembles with one or more persons with the intent of intimidating any person or group or persons by drilling, parading, or marching with any firearm, any explosive or incendiary device, or any components or combination thereof. And then it goes on to talk about, putting people in jail, yada, yada. So this bill is not only you get past the idea of, militias training, which, once again, First Amendment, you have the right to assemble as part of the Constitution. So that's not even necessarily purely 2A, but the First Amendment. This would also prohibit all martial arts training, all firearms training. You want to teach your kid to hunt? No, sir, can't do that. You want to go get firearms instructions because you are a single woman who has to work late at night waiting tables, and she wants to have a firearm to protect herself when she leaves in the city late at night? Nope, can't do that. Look, this is big. Kingpin says no open carry rallies. So yeah, you can't even have rallies to advocate for firearms rights. This should certainly not stand up to legal scrutiny, but clearly Virginia has become a battleground for ideas of more than just gun rights. This is huge. However, not all is bad in Virginia. Virginia sheriff will not enforce unconstitutional laws, so even law enforcement is starting to take a stand. But this is a volatile situation in Virginia, and you have to wonder if they will just cave. Warsaw Patriot says this is basically a dictatorship. D says no silhouette targets at the range or you go to jail for illegal training. Guys, this is the whole thing. You couldn't even go to the range because there would be other people at the range, even if you don't know them, and they're shooting, you're shooting. It's the whole thing. They could consider that paramilitary activities right there. We're in truly, truly interesting times, people. We're in a battle for ideas, my friends. It's been said we're never more than one generation away from freedom being extinguished. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Edmund Burke. Being quiet and sitting on the sidelines is no longer an option. Yeah, we come here, we joke, we laugh. But protecting liberty is no laughing matter. What's up? What's up, Warsaw? What you got? Put it out there. Waiting. You have a captive audience, my friend. Just come on. Let's do this. All right. Well, anyways, Warsaw, if you want to get it out, I'm doing my closing, man. Doing the closing. So, look, everyone, thank you so much for watching. You know, if this is your first time here, hit that sub. You don't want to miss anything. You want to be here. And hit that like. It really helps me out. It gives interaction for the show, and helps us trending. Here we go. We got it. Not only is gun control or any anti-gun legislation that is being placed on the books, not only is it an insult to the people's freedom, but it's a big fat finger to us, to our founders. I'm intrigued. To servicemen and women who fought for our freedom and died for our rights, not just to it. Amen. Amen. All right, guys. Once again, thank you. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate it. As always, just because the name of the channel is changing and you're going to see artwork change over time, I'm going to really work to improve this experience. So we're not changing things for the worse. We're changing things for the better. So remember, this is PCP Media now, Pork Chop Productions Media. If you want to support me on Patreon, greatly appreciate it. The more subs, the more Patreon supporters, hey, who knows? Maybe I could eventually make this a full-time gig. I would love to do that. That'd be great, wouldn't it? All right. I am out of here, guys.